This was a good episode. Finally, like a lot of substance and a lot of information. Amanda, I wish you had led with this. This explains so much about your personality. I totally get it now. All that being said, still don't think you need to be on the show.
Welcome to the Asia Esterak Hour, where film meets conspiracy and pop culture gets a reality check. From sharp recaps to sci-fi theories and media deep dives, Asia Esterak serves it unfiltered. Let the binge begin.
All right. Welcome back to the Asia Esterak Hour. I just got to fix that. All right. I'm Asia Esterak. Okay. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 15, episode 10. This was a really good episode. This episode reminded me why I like this show. We actually got to see women be vulnerable with each other, be positive with each other, and see each other's journey. This was a good episode. Okay, so we open with the ladies in still in the Hamptons. That's Rachel child, I almost said Rachel Ray. Rachel Zoe, Dorit and Kyle still in the beautiful house. Suzanne, I think, is a homegirl's friend's name, Rachel's friend's name, in her house. Her house is beautiful. Anyway, so we get to LA. We're in Amanda's house. She's sitting down with her husband, and they're going over their routine, and they start talking about her manifestation moment brunch. Basically, she's telling him like it was kind of a miss. You know, the ladies weren't really feeling it. It's funny though, because her ego, she's like, anybody would jump at a free, training opportunity with me. And I'm thinking, and it was funny, even her husband was like, that could have been editing, but either way, I was like, that was my face. Like, okay, girl. But basically Amanda says that she was blamed for she's like, we brought up what happened at that other dinner, and they're now blaming me for the fight between Dorit and Kyle. And her husband's like, oh my God, not that Dorit shit. So Amanda's whole thing is Kyle had a strong opinion about Dorit speaking about her spouse. And she's like, her whole thing is, I said one little thing and it gets blown into this. Again, Amanda, you're not really taking accountability. It's not even that big of a deal. That's the crazy part. But I think it's the fact that it's being prolonged. Sutton, you didn't help trying to say that she started the fight between them two, when the reality is they were beefing anyway. I said this in my last review. Insert person that said anything about Dorit's situation with PK and she was going to be mad. This person just happened to be Amanda in this instance. So Dorit, let's not throw it. Let's not try to make it like Amanda is the reason they're completely fighting again. They never really stopped. True tea. But anyway, so it's interesting. Her husband, he says something interesting because it was like he was almost like he was sticking up for Dorit, but he goes, when I was going through my divorce, I didn't want to hear anybody's opinions about my situation. I didn't care who it was. I'm paraphrasing. But anyway, but yeah, he basically he didn't want to hear any outside noise. So Amanda in her confessional talks about how her husband knows what it's like to go through a divorce with young children. I'll say this was a good scene because it seems like, even though I feel like Amanda is very much the one that at least appears to want to be in control, at least she appears to, but it seemed like her and her husband had a healthy, in my opinion, I saw a lot of balance in this scene. Ooh, you almost saw my freckles. That's all that's being covered up. Just some freckles. Anyway, it's a lot of freckles. It ain't just some. But anyway, I thought this was an interesting scene. It was good. Amanda, I don't think you fully understand it and get it. You can make it all go away. Sorry, girl. I talked about your situation. Didn't mean to. Wish you well. Nothing but the best. Keep it pushing. But anyway, so across town, Sutton and Bose are meeting up. They meet up at this park. First of all, these two together, great chemistry. You know what it is? Bose has good energy, and I kind of feel like whoever she's around, her energy brings out the best in them. I'll admit my first few reviews of this season, I felt like Bose was being more calculated. And maybe that was me looking at it from a negative lens. But the more I watch this season, she's not. She's a genuine person. I'm just eating humble pie today. We just eating humble pie on this Sunday afternoon. But I talked all that shit about not wanting to watch people's IVF journeys. And the irony is I find hers one of the most interesting and heartbreaking. And again, I apologize to anybody that I offended when I said that. I be talking, listen, I talk a lot of shit, y'all. I'm not a shitty person at the end of the day. So if I offended you, my apologies. But watching her journey and just her talking about it, and she talks about it later on with her daughter, it's sad, because this is somebody that really wants this. And it's crazy too, because she already had issues trying to have children prior. It's always been a bit of a struggle. And it's a shame. She's in love. She wants to give, her man a kid. I get it. I'm all over the place. I'm just digressing. Anyway, so they're at the park and they're talking about Amanda, and it was funny because Sutton throws this little shade about manifesting something, and they start laughing. So in Bose's confessional, she talks about how she goes, "Listen, I'm running from Sutton straight," but she's like, "But Sutton Brown, I want to get to know her." Sutton, I'm liking Sutton this season, and I keep saying she looks amazing. And there's something that Erica says in the later scenes, which I'll get to later, which is when I realized why Sutton looks better in her attitude and why that attitude is better this season. But anyway, so they're talking about Amanda and Sutton's whole thing is I don't understand the manifestation part. Like, how does that work? Which is what I'm curious about myself. We all are. Everybody watching is curious about that. So Bose is like, well, it's basically she's teaching people how to manifest money by taking their money. I mean, where's the lie? I guess I can't speak for y'all. I can only speak for me. I need to understand the mechanics of it. How are you making that possible? And what Bo said in the last episode, what is the return on investment? I'm curious. Anyway, this was a good scene. They have great chemistry. I could see them continuing to be friends moving forward, especially if Sutton. I feel like I hope this path that Sutton is on at the moment, baby, stay on this path. You are very likable. You are genuine. You look great. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. This was a really good episode. I'm mad that it took 10 episodes in to get actually like really good. It was slowly building, but this was a really good episode. Let's continue, y'all. Okay, so back at the Hamptons, Kyle is FaceTiming Erica and they start talking about Amanda's luncheon. Erica tells her about the tension and Sutton calling Amanda out for what she said about Dorit, blah, blah, blah. So they're discussing that, and then they get to Denise Richards. So for anybody living under a rock, Denise is divorcing her estranged husband, Aaron Pfeiffer's, I forget how to say his name. He's a mess. But she's come forward with allegations of DV and all types of stuff. She actually posted a photo of herself with a black eye that was really bad. They show it in this episode. Oh my God. So anyway, they're talking about that. And Erica's like, I reached out to her and me, her, and Sutton are meeting up later to chat. So Kyle's like sending her love. And they kind of go from there. So after that, we have a quick scene with Bose and her daughter Lael. I love her daughter. Great relationship. She talks about the IVF journey and just the different possibilities and the fact that for her it's not taking with her eggs, and her doctor talking about possibly using a donor egg. That would terrify the hell out of me if I was in that journey. You know what I mean? Because you can't use your own egg. That's a lot. And she talks about that. Um, it's crazy. You know what it is? And again, I made those flippant comments when you don't know shit. But like the psychological aspect of IVF has got to be so taxing for not just physically but mentally. That's a lot. So shout out to the women that actually go through all those crazy cycles and make it through, because that's a lot on the body. I actually took the time to look into it, and I was like, ooh, I talked a lot of shit and didn't know what I was talking about. But anyway, so we get to Erica goes to visit Amanda at her house. This was the scene, y'all. This was the scene. This was the first of many good scenes in this episode. So they sit down. Amanda mentions before Erica gets there how she likes Amanda. She's like, I didn't think that we would connect just based off how she is, but she seems to be the only one that's genuinely interested in me. And Erica was like, they were joking that she was the star pupil at the brunch because she was the only one that was really participating in the activity. And of course, when you show somebody your interest, it lets that other person know that you're interested in them and it makes them feel good. That's the whole part of interacting with each other, being human. I don't talked all that shit about Amanda. But anyway, Erica Erica gets over there. They sit down in the back. They're drinking their espresso. I wanted an espresso. I drink way too. I'm drinking coffee in between takes, which is really bad. It's like my fourth cup today. And it's only 12:35. Anyway, so they start talking about the luncheon and Erica's asking her thoughts. They get into the whole Dorit, Kyle of it all and what Sutton said. And basically, Erica tells her, like, you just, in this group, the best thing to do is when you say something, you need to address it right away. And she gets that own it right away. She's like, otherwise, when it lingers, it gets legs and it grows into other things. We know this from any reality television show ever. And honestly, in real life too, if you don't address shit head on, motherfuckers start building their own narrative around it. And if you care, you might want to get ahead of it. So she was giving her sound advice yet again, which Sutton and everybody else did. So Erica goes, the thing with you is people feel like they can't connect to you. You talk about everything, and what we're interested in is the cult. We want to know about the cult. So Amanda tells a story. Story very interesting. So basically, she grew up in Oklahoma, and she grew up in a house that wasn't religious. She lived in a community that was very religious and had a school that was religious. So she said essentially she sought out religion, went to church with her friends, really got involved. She was a part of a youth group. And she said when she got old enough, so the head of the youth group, who was from Oklahoma, ended up starting a church in Florida. So when she got old enough, she left, went to Florida, and followed him and the rest of the members and joined the church with them out there. Of course, she said things became very controlling, and she knew she had to leave. And so she said the reason it became controlling is he was starting to tell them who they could and couldn't date, who they couldn't marry, and it was just becoming, cult like. Cult like. Um, so she says that the way she escaped, she said it was October 31st. I forget the year, Halloween. But she said she went to church like normal, so nobody knew anything was awkward. And then when she left, she took a car and drove straight to her sister's house. I think she said in Orlando, and never looked back. Um, and basically, through that conversation with her and Erica, we learned that Amanda, you have a very interesting story. To me, it explains so much about why she's very needs people to know that she bought certain things and has to reiterate her success. It makes sense because you sought it makes sense because you're in a cult, and when you're in a cult, it washes away your identity. So she said when she started to start thinking for herself and talking to people that she wasn't talking to and calling her parents when she wasn't supposed to and them telling her that she was in a cult, that was when she sort of woke up. So I think that still plays into how she is today as an adult in the way she displays her things. Because even Sutton and Bose talked about it earlier on in the scene at the park about how she feels that she's nouveau riche. She feels the need to point out what she has when in actuality, girl, don't nobody care. I mean, good for you. Love that for you, but no one cares like that. And it comes off really tacky. But learning this about her backstory, it explains a lot. It explains a lot about her. All that being said, it made me like her a little bit more. Like it made me like her, dislike her less. I should say, not like her a little bit more, dislike her less. But I still don't think that, I don't know if she's a good fit for this group still. But I think if she had been more open and forthright, but then again, that's easy for me to say. I'm not on a reality TV show with these ladies. Who knows what it's like when she's around them? Energy is flowing, cameras are on, personalities are going. It's a lot to compete with and contend with. So I get it. But this was a good scene. We got to see a different side of her. And like Erica told her, this is the side that you need to show the rest of the group. So we'll see if she leads with that. Um, I don't know. I'm glad that we got to see this. And it's interesting, just on a side note, it's interesting how many people fall into cult situations and just how many are operating. It's fascinating and it's creepy at the same time. So my Hampton ladies, they're all getting ready to go to a club. And it was cute to see Rachel Zoe getting ready. Again, I could watch a show where her getting ready and picking out clothes. I love it. So they all go to this like outdoor club somewhere in the Hamptons. It was funny. The ladies kept saying it reminded them of Ibiza. And Dorit's like, I can't remember the last time I've been out on like a girls' night. And she talks about when she was in New York City and going home late. I miss my clubbing days too with me and my friends. We used to do some wild shit. But anyway, so that was cool. So they're partying out. They end up chilling with Rachel Zoe was friends with I guess they're like a DJ duo or set. Good, these two good looking dudes, but the one guy Dorit was flirting with, and it was funny because Kyle was like, Dorit is a flirt. And they actually were joking later on when they were eating about how Dorit was like, my mother always told me never marry the good looking guy in the room. And they were all joking, Dorit will flirt with that, but go home to a PK, marry a PK. Um, this was a cute little scene. It definitely got interesting when they started talking about Sutton calling out Amanda over Dorit and Kyle. So Kyle brings it up at the and it's now nighttime now because they were out there in the evening. So they're sitting there eating and they're talking about this. And before I get to that, they Rachel Zoe brings up the fact that Erica is being sued for $25 million, which was spent during her marriage to Tom Girardi. Uh Erica later explains that she's being sued by his trustees. It's a never ending cycle. She's aware that it sucks. They talk about that briefly. Rachel reaches out to Erica, sends her a text. Erica says, "Thank you, I'm fine, blah, blah, blah." I wanted to point that out because that plays all into later on. Anyway, back to Dorit. So they're telling Dorit about what Sutton said, and they touch on the fact that how Sutton is cooler this year. And Dorit's like, I feel more comfortable with her, and it seems like she's really trying. Yes, Sutton is on point this year. So, and we're 10 episodes in. I don't feel her flipping. I feel like she really is on a better path, hopefully. But anyway, reality TV, shit is turning, always turning. But so of course Dorit starts addressing Amanda, and they're talking about Amanda and her opinion, and basically Sutton reiterating to her, like, you need to own what you said about her husband, and she'd move on, or blah blah blah. So Dorit is like, I don't care about Amanda. I give it, what does it she say? I care more about a fucking hangnail than I do Amanda. Okay, Dorit. Okay, girl. So Rachel Zoe is even like, because she was talking about how she's not adverse to Amanda, and Rachel's like, but you are a little adverse. Like, they all kind of call her out, like, she does bother you. And Dorit, it's okay to be bothered. You're in a vulnerable spot right now, and you don't want anybody talking about your situation. Totally understand that. And of course, it looks worse. It is actually starting to snow right now. All right, I guess this storm is starting. Oh wow. Anyway, but it's like, I get where Dorita's coming from, because the reality is she don't know Amanda. And Amanda, that's where you got the game fucked up, babes. You're new. You are a stranger, and you are putting in your 2 cents on someone else's separation, and commenting on intimate details such as character and finances. Or maybe that was me. But like, girl, Anyway, I like how they all kind of low key call out Dorit, but Dorit, please. Okay, so we get to Erica, Sutton, and Denise Richards. So Erica and Sutton meet up first. They look cute. Denise comes in last. Denise looked great, by the way. Denise just got a facelift. She said she had her boobs done a few weeks before. She had this beautiful, like pale, pale pink blush silk pants on with like a bustier top. She looked good. Um, so basically, in this scene, we learn about what Denise was going through being married to that Aaron Pfeiffer's motherfucker. Um, Erica asked her about the black eye that she posted. They show it. It is horrifying. So basically, I'm gonna just put allegedly, just because for legality. So allegedly, Aaron has been hitting her for off and on for a while. They ask about how long. She says it was, it was a little bit at first, and then it gradually got worse. She talks about how twice when she was in post op after getting facelifts in other situations, he had hit her in the face twice. um Crazy. Very aggressive, very controlling. And of course Erica talks about how she didn't like the way he spoke to her and Teddy previously. And of course they showed that was 6 years ago. That's crazy. And he was being really nasty. And of course we all heard the hot mic moment when they were leaving Kyle's house, and Denise is telling him to be quiet because they're mic'd, and he makes that comment, "Don't make me crush your hand" or something. "Don't tell me what to do. I'll crush your hand." And again, I remember watching that at the time, going, "What? What is he talking about?" Um, it's sad. It was really sad to hear that. I was surprised. I didn't know. I was surprised by the information that she was giving us, basically. Um, But Denise, it was funny. Denise said she was joking with Charlie Sheen, like, he's making you look great. But she said that the first person to reach out to her was Charlie, and the second person was Erica. And of course, Erica talks about how her and Denise, they sat down and they squashed their differences last year. Um, this was a good scene. So in this scene, when Denise is sharing what she went through with Aaron and what's going on, that's when Erica decides to share that she had a relationship after Tom, before this current man that she's with, that involved domestic violence. And she talks about there were 3 incidences and he had put his hands on her. She said when it first happened, she said she was scared, and she said she was turning into a hostage. She goes, "I was using my hostage negotiator voice." I know what she meant by that. I know exactly what she meant by that. You're trying to remain calm and cool because this person's out of their fucking mind and you don't want to die. She talks about the embarrassment and the shame and just being embarrassed having to call 911 because her son's a cop. This was really interesting for Erica to reveal this. I'm glad she did, because I feel like it helped a lot of people with this episode, Erica, and you didn't even know it. Same with you, Denise. Because Erica said she kept it very quiet. I mean, the press didn't even know about this. This is crazy. And for her to go about it alone, and then to now be in another relationship. I'm curious what the timeline of when this happened, because she really kept this quiet. But she talks about how she's working through it. And in the next episode, we see that she's crying to her therapist. But it was interesting, and what Sutton was saying in her confessional, she's like, people like Erica, you don't see that happening to, because she's so strong. But you check on your strong friends. Check on your strong friends. Because guess what? None of us are superheroes. We're only human. A person can only take so much. And I think something like that, hiding domestic violence from the outside world, and you're struggling with that in this person, that's a lot. That is a lot. All the stuff that Denise was going through that none of us knew about. And I want to mention this too. So when Denise was telling them the story, she said her father reached out to her and was like, "Why did you tell us? Like, what?" Because they were all surprised. And she said the realest shit. She said, "Why would I tell you when I choose to stay with this person?" And I think that's where the stigma and the psychological part of, the psychological part of domestic violence, that's when something like that kicks in, where you are scared to leave. You're broken down. And I've never experienced domestic violence, but I know enough people that have, and have read enough up on it to understand the basics of when you're broken down like that, and especially if the person's dangerous. It's different. It's something you can't just get up and leave. It's not that easy. So kudos to these two women to get on national television on a major platform and talk about this. What you did was, it was important and it was responsible. And I really believe that you guys might have helped some women out there by talking about this. Erica, I'm shocked. I was really shocked. um this was a really good episode. Really good. Wasn't shady, wasn't nasty. I feel like sometimes on these reality TV shows, specifically the Housewives, sometimes we lose the sisterhood aspect of it. Sometimes it doesn't have to always be about fighting and getting over on each other. Sometimes it's about hearing each other out, supporting each other as women, and hearing each other's story. This episode represented that, and I loved it. Anyway, happy Sunday, you guys, wherever you are. I hope you're warm and you're safe. The snow is coming. Ah! Anyway, be nice to each other, stay hydrated, stay warm, and I'm gonna go return these videotapes.